Ooh, what a day.
Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let me give you the latest around the discussion of President Biden, how there's a new CNN poll that says that most voters do want to have an alternative to the Democratic president. We'll share with you some of the latest polls on that and how he's at a statistical tie with Donald Trump still. We'll share with you the details of that situation. Also, September is National Preparedness Month. So we're going to be checking in with Mr. Mitch Peterson of OnStar to give us some insight and some tips on how we can prepare for natural disasters. Later on, folks, we're going to talk about that case out of PG County, Maryland, where a police officer had a little rendezvous in the back of the cruiser. And what should be done to officers who behave badly? We'll have that conversation and a whole lot more. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. First and foremost, let me give a big shout out to my online culture crew that is just checking in from all around the country. And folks, you can do the same thing. Make sure you check us out as we're streaming on various spaces, various platforms. Of course, our home platform of blackstarnetwork.com. Again, that's blackstarnetwork.com. We're also streaming right now on Amazon News, on your Fire TV, Plex TV. Also, just look under Black Star Network for news and opinion, and we're there as well. And we're streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube. When you go on YouTube, you can go right under Roland Martin's YouTube page, and that's where you'll find our illustrious, our devoted, our awesome culture crew, folks that are checking in from around the country to be a part of the conversation. So if you've not had an opportunity to jump into the chat, make sure you do so today and share your thoughts, pose your questions, and most importantly, be a part of the conversation as we have these discussions. All right, folks, let me just share the latest with you. Then we're going to have to talk a little bit about what's happening with National Preparedness Month. But first, let's talk about politics as President Biden is looking to go and have an uphill battle in convincing voters that he is still the man for the job come to 2024 election. Well, according to a new CNN poll, folks, it looks like the president is not just battling voter apathy, but he's also battling what some people call ageism, what also some folks believe is his competence to be in the office based on some of the latest decisions he's made. So he is facing negative job ratings, according to a recent CNN poll that was conducted by SSRS. Check this out. Here's the latest numbers. There's no clear leader in a potential rematch between the president and the former president, Donald Trump, folks, who is widely ahead, according to CNN, in the GOP primary still. after 4 indictments and 2 impeachments. And nearly half of registered voters, 46%, say that any Republican nominee would be a better choice than Biden in 2024. That's nearly half, folks. Meanwhile, according to CNN, hypothetical matchups also suggest there will be no clear winner should Biden face one of the other major GOP contenders, with one notable exception. Biden runs behind former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. So, according to the same poll, folks, there's a record low share of Americans who say Biden inspires confidence. He's not like his predecessor, Barack Obama. He's not the inspirational confidence guy, you know. And I've said this before. He is the type of political leader that he's in the trenches. He understands the systems of things, but many people find that he doesn't seem as competent. They attribute that part to his age. They attribute that part to how he sees things in general. His perceptions of Biden personally are also broadly negative, with 58% saying they have an unfavorable impression of him. Wow. Fewer than half of Americans, 45%, say that Biden cares about people like them, with only 33% describing him as someone they're proud to have as president. Now, also in that, it says that roughly 3/4 of Americans say they're seriously concerned that Biden's age might negatively affect his current level of physical and mental competence. 73% say that this is the case, and his ability to serve out another full term is reelected. It comes down to 76% of the American people, with a smaller 68% majority seriously concerned about his ability to understand the next generation's concerns. That stands at 72% among those younger than 65, but just at 57% of those 65 of those 65 or older feel the same way. And most, take this, this is the important part. Most Democratic voters say, folks, they wish they would see an alternative to Biden. Now, with these latest poll numbers, it's going to cause people to ask the question, does this open the door for Donald Trump presidency for 2024 if the former president is not arrested by election day? Folks, I want you to share with me your comments very quickly as we are in the chat. And of course, I want to check in with you, all my culture crew, and I appreciate each and every one of you. But what do you make of these numbers that people just aren't feeling President Biden right now, folks? And it is showing in the polls. And what do you think the Democrats, how do you think they're going to respond to this? Donna, 719 Kai, 719, you say Donald Trump should be forbidden from running for any office ever again, especially president. I definitely won't be voting Republican as a Black woman. I personally can't relate to that party. Yeah, I hear you. So 719 Kai, 719, I truly appreciate you for checking in and being a part of the crew today. Big shout out to all of my culture crew members, Anastasia, Tiana, Jeremy Campbell, I see you. Pastor Damon, good to see you again, big brother. Brother Willie Frazier, my brother, thank you so much for checking in. But folks, this is something else. Now, Deborah C., thank you for checking in. You said maybe Governor Newsom. He might be an alternative. Well, we haven't seen the lineup yet of what the Democrats have to offer to respond to what the Republicans are putting forth to the American people. So we'll have to see if Gavin Newsom is the alternative that America would like to see. Now, coming from a much more progressive state, of course, Gavin Newsom, younger, he is more charismatic. He's been in charge of one of the largest economies in the country for the state of California. He's been dealing with some real issues. But there's still some questions about him. I think there's going to be some major questions about him from Black America because of his lukewarm stance on the issues of reparations. Some people might even say talking about the issue of immigration is a problem in the state of California. Some people certainly is going to speak out about the homelessness issue that is running rampant here in the state of California. So Gavin Newsom got some skeleton, but he may be a serious contender. Now, we already also can talk about not former, excuse me, Vice President Kamala Harris, who is in the seat now, but some folks still are not feeling her quite as much. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting over these next few months as we're leading up to the national election, what kind of role is she going to play on this whole situation? Because trust and believe, folks, President Biden is getting all of this information. No one, when polls like this come out, when they do all of these, what's the words? When they kind of check in with people to see where things are, the president knows. The president knows. That's why his campaign team has certain strategies and tactics. Like, for example, one of the things that they want to emphasize for him is not his age, but his experience, his ability to get certain things done. That has been the focus of some recent campaign ads that he has put out in certain parts of the country. And so it's going to be very, very interesting, to say the least, how the president, how his team is going to respond to this latest CNN poll. Conscious Thought, my brother, you checking in, you said, how in the hell is it so easy for people to dismiss Vice President Kamala Harris? Conscious Thought, I mean, people have to admit it. You know what? It's not easy. And she is, a trendsetter, history maker. But I think people are expecting more, bro. I think people are really, really expecting more. Willie Frazier, you said, my man, Willie, you said, screw the polls. Biden could be drooling. And if he wins the nomination, I'm voting for him. He's done a great job. You think he could be drooling? He could be just sitting there, just a vegetable drooling, huh? I mean, look. Now, here's the thing. Here's the play, folks. We know that the Democrats are going to play on this kind of fear campaign, and I think this is a huge. It's a crossroads, but it's also an opportunity for Black America, because we can use this time as a way for us to kind of like redefine our relationship to the Democratic Party, right? We can say, oh yeah, this is the perfect chance for us to say, all right, this is what we want. This is what we need, right? And it's a perfect opportunity for us to kind of really push our interest to make sure that this president understands, like, look, if you want our support, we need more from you. You can't just get a rubber stamp of approval from us. We need more from you. So I think this is a perfect chance for us to do this, right? Because the president, and I'm speaking of President Biden, he said, people are very uncertain. They are not feeling his performance, and he's not coming across strong enough to get the next generation. So it's going to be very important for us to not lose sight of the priorities and of what we want to get from the agenda. Now, if there's some other folks that we need to push to the forefront, I think we should have that conversation as well. I think we should have that conversation as well. Tiana, you checked in. You said, where was the ageism when Reagan was in office, who had Alzheimer's while in office? It's a different time. It was a different time, different culture, different set of events. That's where it was. It's just, folks, I think people, and I was a little boy then, so I couldn't tell you exactly what was the political climate, but there was one thing I could remember from that time is there were international affairs. America was, whether it was America and Russia, America and the drug war. I mean, Reagan, yes, he was still older, but the country was at a different place culturally to try to accept this. And it wasn't quite as bad. Now we're seeing this, right? We're seeing this more and more, especially with the with more people becoming more and more conscious of certain things. And with the population getting more diverse, Tiana, with baby boomers slowly fading out of the picture because of a number of reasons, whether it's death or other reasons, right? And now you have this another generation that has come in. And I'm talking about the generation of young people. You're talking about 40-year-olds. You're talking about 30-year-olds. You're talking about these 20-year-olds. You got this other larger segment of the population the next president is going to have to understand what the interests are for that generation. All right, let's take a couple more, and then we got to take a quick pause. Monkey Confections, you said someone other than Kamala, maybe in another 4 years with more experience, or I am sure Howard needs a new president. Okay. Okay. Just let that stand for what it is. Georgia, thank you, Monkey Confession. Georgia, Beweo, you said it's too late to try getting someone else. Is it? Is it, Georgia? Should we not consider someone else? Why not? I mean, isn't that part of the whole system of democracy that if you're not satisfied with the person that you put in office, that after a certain period of time, 4 years, 2 years, whatever the time frame is, that you say, you know what, we could try someone else. Is it really too late? There's 14 months left before we get to the national election. Is that really too late? Isn't this the perfect time for us to have a conversation and not get into spaces like, that's the guy? Shouldn't we exercise that democratic privilege, that democratic right to think about someone else to possibly take the job? Shouldn't we? I'm just asking. I appreciate you, Georgia. Thank you so much for checking in. LaShawn J, thank you for being a part of the culture crew for today. You said I want someone else. So does a lot of Americans. So a lot of Democratic voters. They want someone else. So we will have to see. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about National Preparedness Month, as September is that month, folks, and how our community, Black America, Black community, can get prepared for the natural disasters that are not going, if they're going to happen, that will happen, and how do we face that? And I got to talk to you about this law that is coming out of Florida with Governor, your favorite governor, folks, Ron DeSantis, and how this may contribute to more homelessness and more inequity in the state of Florida because of natural disasters. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Stay with us. We still got a lot more to talk about in this first hour of the culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been talking a little bit about President Biden and how he's facing an uphill battle convincing Democratic voters, not even the whole American people, Democratic voters, that he's still the man and he's still fit for the job come 2024. And there are a lot of people who are, and I'm speaking of the Democratic voters, who are saying, we might want an alternative to you, President Biden. And it looks like the call from the Democratic side is that they don't want to, the folks don't want to see a Biden-Trump rematch. That's if President Trump can make it all the way till election day. And boy, is he trying to, he's actually trying to, there was a CNN article that said that he recently put in a request to move his situation in Georgia, to federal court. So that way he can use some sort of immunity, some sort of protection from being prosecuted. He just put that, he just put that into the courts now. I mean, just yesterday, just saying, look, I want to move it out of the state of Georgia. So he's trying his best to make sure that he is available for election day. And then you, on the Democratic side, the Democratic voters are saying, hey, can we get an alternative to President Biden? All right, let me go back to what you got to say on this crew. And big shout out to my sister Suzette Speaks, who's checking in as well. Suzette, good to hear from you, sis. Conscious thought, you said Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat out of Massachusetts, would have been ideal for Attorney General of the U.S., but even her senatorial colleagues wouldn't confirm her. And this is in response to, you don't like my music, saying, I'm still a Warren man. I love her. So she may not even be in the. I mean, I don't think she's running. Conscious thought, and you don't like my music. She may not be running. I don't know. Somebody, there's going to be a woman that's going to crack through that glass ceiling to becoming. We already know Hillary was close, but we may see that again on the Democratic side of things. So it's going to be interesting. Jeremy, you said we don't have anyone else that actually in the White House that looks out for Black life besides Kamala Harris. So it's like that. A lot of you, some of you are really feeling like Kamala Harris is kind of underrated, that she's being overlooked and disregarded. Well, we will have to see. The fact is, this is the challenge of being a vice president, especially in this situation. The fact is, she's going to have to make a name for herself. She's going to have to kind of branch out, make a name for herself in a very, very big way. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, if she can do that within a very short period of time. Because not only does she has to kind of like, and she has to get the assistance of the Biden administration, because she can't just break out there by herself and say, oh, I'm the woman for the job, if she doesn't have the support. How is it, and that's got to be a hard place to be in, because the person that you're working under, your direct supervisor, is catching all this flack for a number of reasons. And then, you might be like, okay, I can kind of come up to fill in the gap. But then you got to deal with coming out from under his shadow a little bit, differentiating yourself a little bit. And then more importantly, you got to defend your policies of your administration with the president's. I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics at play here. A lot of different dynamics is play. Edie Mirmi Berry, you checked in and said the current vice president is very qualified, more so than any of her colleagues. Oh, yeah, I mean, she's vice president. She's going to be qualified, right? To a degree, she's going to be more qualified. But does that make her the best choice for the American people? Does that make her the best alternative for Democratic voters? We will have to see. LaShawn, you also said, I'll give Cornel West a go. How come we're not talking about Cornel West enough? How come we're not talking about him? Is he like too fringe for Black America or something? Because in all of these conversations, I hear more discussions about President Biden than I do about Cornel West. Why are we not talking? Oh, I mean, y'all talk to me. Talk to me. Let me know. Is he completely? Is he just not that guy? Do you not think he can win? And if he doesn't win, should we not boost him up? Because as much as we want, because we know where he stands on a lot of issues. So is he too much? Is he doing too much? We don't talk enough about Cornel West. I was going to say Kanye West. Don't beat me up, y'all. I was going to really say Kanye West. But we're not talking enough about Cornel West. And I don't know why. Elroy Boy, you said, like you said, Farajii, he's too French. And he's not that guy. Lori Parks, you said, I'm not going to waste my vote on someone who's not going to win. Who's not going to be the nominee? Cornel West, I'm voting for Joe Biden. So, okay, so he's not even a part of the conversation, Lori? Wow, okay. Wow. See, this is the dynamic that's at play, folks, because Black America, we say we want different. We say we want somebody that's going to speak our ideas. We say we want certain things brought to the forefront. Then you have a candidate who is kind of bringing some of those things that we say we wanted. And guess what, folks? We're not quite as supportive of the candidate. Not to say, I'm not telling you to vote for Cornel West. I'm just saying, I'm looking at the dynamics at play here, folks. That's all I'm simply saying. The dynamics at play. Official Sanika, you check it there. I love Cornel West, but we know how third-party candidates do in general elections. They don't have to do bad. They don't have to just get like 1, 2, 3% of the vote. They could do a lot if we fully supported them. And I'm just throwing him into the mix of things. If we were to fully support Cornel West, right, would we get further along? The ABX girl, you said exactly, Lori Trump. People would love for Cornel to get the votes, then it is officially over for us. So some of us feel like Cornel West is more of a spoiler than anything else. Pretty Brown Mimi 726, you said if Professor West ran as a Democrat, he could win. Yeah, he just doesn't believe in, you ain't gonna get that. He just doesn't believe in the same principles. And shouldn't that be okay? Just throwing a question out there, and I love that point you brought up. I appreciate you, Mimi, for posting that. Brian Christian, you said Biden and Cornel West should have a debate against each other. Y'all know that. If Cornel, here's the thing, and very quickly, here's the thing. If Cornel West was at the debate, he may get more support. He may be able to, the race can get very much interesting. But like the Republican debate, the GOP debate, those 8 candidates that we saw on stage, the reason they had certain metrics, Fox News had a certain criteria for those candidates, right? They had a certain criteria, and part of the criteria is fundraising. Part of the criteria is where they stand in the polls. They had a certain criteria. Imagine if Cornel West was on the same debate stage as some of these other Democratic candidates. We didn't know who Vivek Ramaswamy was. That's what I'm saying. He came out, boom. He made a huge appearance, a huge entrance into the race. Now in some cases, he's ahead of DeSantis, who was favored to be the guy that was going to give Trump running for his money. Does Cornel West just need a stage and a platform, a national stage to be heard? Just throwing this out there. Georgia, you said nobody's going to vote for Cornel West the way he and Tavis talk about Barack Obama. Y'all still mad about that? Y'all still mad about the Tavis Smiley Cornel West situation, controversy about former President Barack Obama? Yeah. You don't like my music? You said it. They will never let Dr. West on that debate stage. Well, if they don't let him on the debate stage, then how we have a diversity of ideas, right, about how to move this country forward? How are we going to do that? How can we do that? Look, I got to take another quick pause. When we come back, let's continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with me. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network. Where is my people?
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
A lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Here we go. All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. What a conversation that we're having right now as we talk about the situation with President Biden and former President Donald Trump, how, according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS, the current president is in some hot water and convincing. What a picture. That is a that picture just threw me off, Katie. The president is facing some real uphill battle to convince people in his own party that he's the man for the job in 2024. So we're going to have to let's see if this is working out. Is this possible? Is Joe Biden the guy, or is he not the guy? If he's not the guy, the alternative. I'm bringing up again, because this is about moving this country along. Do we want to go along to get along? Do we talking about moving the country along? We as Black folks in this country, I think we need to really be clear. What is the ultimate goal? Is the ultimate goal just to beat Trump? Trump could beat his own self. You know what I mean? He got indictments. He got hearings and court cases coming lined up for next year. So is it really about beating Trump? Because after Trump, you might be looking at a DeSantis, or you might be looking at a Vivek Ramaswamy. You might be. But even so, Biden possibly has the strength, the experience, all that stuff to beat those candidates. And so what is it that we're trying to accomplish here? We're talking about, okay, let's just keep this the same captain on this boat, on this ship, rather. Let's keep it going because it's quote unquote working for us. Or are we talking about putting some new ideas out there, like those coming from a Cornel West, from that side of the movement, that side of the conversation? Or if it's not Cornel West or President Biden, let's look at the Democratic offerings. Governor Gavin Newsom or Governor Whitmer out of, I think she's for the state of Michigan. Some of you are bringing up Senator Elizabeth Warren. Bernie Sanders. Does Bernie Sanders need to be thrown back into the mix? Let's continue to talk about it. The Unexamined Life, you checked in, appreciate you. You said Dr. Cornel West definitely should be president. If not, here's what I think the value of Dr. Cornel West. Put him on the debate stage. Let him put out some ideas to really push the Democratic Party into a more progressive space. That's what I would think. Now, Official Sneaker, I agree with you on this one, bro. You said Cornel West would drag anybody on that debate stage. I mean, he lives for that stuff. He lives for that stuff, right? He would drag them. But see, that's the thing about quote unquote spoilers, that they pushed it. Y'all remember Hillary Clinton, even Joe Biden, they weren't talking about Black Lives Matter. Remember when all of this stuff was going on with these police killings and brutality cases, and they were becoming more and more public. You know what members of Black Lives Matter did to Hillary Clinton? Like, they would meet her at these national debates and like really roll up on her and press her. And to the point where she had to acknowledge, I mean, it was like direct action activism. She had to acknowledge Black Lives Matter in some ways. The president, same thing. Like, how many presidents have you actually heard speak at a State of the Union speech talking about the talk, right? And I'm bringing this up because candidates have to be pressed, folks. Like they can't set the agenda. The people set the tone. The people set the agenda. So when I hear people say, well, let them do it. No, yes, they have to have a vision, but when their vision doesn't incorporate or does not include us, those who have been marginalized, oppressed, and who have been disregarded, then guess what the role of those group of people is? To push the agenda. To say, no, my interest is not represented in your white papers, in your agenda. So therefore, I'm going to tell you what my issues are, and I need you to speak on that. I need you to come up with a plan to address that. That's what active citizens do. They don't just sit back. And people always talk about, well, how does the LGBTQ and how do other people get what they want certain things across? They lobby them. And that just simply means they are hardcore advocates of it. And here's the thing. We have been told as Black folks in this country that all our advocacy comes in just voting, where the real advocacy comes behind the scenes, where we are a part of the development of agendas and plans and any vision that any candidate comes out. If a candidate is not speaking about your interests, then you got to roll up on your candidate. That's what it comes down to. It's not like you waiting for the candidate to recognize you. You force the candidate to see you. If the candidate don't see you, then you raise your hand. You know what I mean? It's that type of thing. And you might be saying to yourself, well, why do we got to do this? I mean, this is supposed to be a democracy. Are you really thinking that on all of these people, and let's keep it real, we have so many different groups of people in this country. Then you have corporations who are lining the pockets of candidates, right? So they got their interests. You got all of these diverse groups of people in the country you got to speak for. You got to press them. You got to get to the front of the room. You got to get in front of the crowd. That's what we have to do. And I think that's the part of the whole voting strategy that's missing. Like, no, it's not. it's not just enough to just say, well, I'm voting. We got to be at the table. If we're not at the table with some money, then we got to be at the table with our voice. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, y'all. We're going to take a couple of more thoughts on this, and then we're going to switch gears. Who we got here? Focus Point, you checked in and said younger than a lot of those old white men. If we're not happy with and who said this? I think Sandra, Sister Sandra. Good to see you, Sister Sandra. You said slim pickings. My sister, Sister Sandra Muhammad, you said slim pickings. It is slim pickings. But we have to be our own lobbyists. We can't pay someone to do it. We can't wait for someone to do it. We have to advocate for our own interests. And we got to do that in a very, very big way. If we can't bring money to the table, we got to bring our voice in unity. Y'all heard me on that? If we can't bring money to the table, and I'm saying as a community, as a people, we got money, but if it's not organized money, then we got to bring organized bodies, organized people, and our voices. All right, let me keep going here. Pretty Brown Mimi, you check back in. You said, okay, I get it. West, speaking of Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West doesn't agree with the Dems, but he could run as an independent. We need fresh blood. Here's what I'm thinking. We need fresh ideas. We need game-changing ideas, new thoughts on old problems. It's like somebody's always talking about where we have a crime problem. What is just walk with me on this for a minute, crew. People say, oh, we have a crime problem. We have a crime problem in our city. So what do? Let's put more money into policing. Okay, you could do that, but that's been done in the past, and has that shown to be an effective tactic for where we are right now? Is that financially effective and reasonable? Is that ethically effective? It could be. But what about coming up with a different way and say, okay, if we got a crime plan, let's look at the job situation. Let's look at the poverty situation. Because if you have a job, if you have a place to live, if you have a little decent, if you have a future, you feel like you have a future, you're not thinking about committing no crime. It's new ways to look at old, long-standing, systematic problems. And that's the thing that I think that we can't lose sight of. I'm not thinking about personality, folks. I'm thinking about ideas. I'm thinking about new things. All right, let's do this one more right. Karen Wright, you said the one thing we cannot do is sit out and not vote. Numbers matter, right? We can vote, but we got to advocate along with the vote too, Karen. I think you would agree with me on this, sis. We got to advocate along with the vote. If we don't advocate, that means that we got to vote and then still be up in somebody's face. We got to vote and still talk about the importance of, we still have to drive home the point that, yeah, we voted, but we can't be inactive participants of the democratic system. We can't just be that. We have a responsibility, not just to ourselves, but to future generations. And more importantly, this system of things, this governmental experiment, as they call it, the American experiment of democracy, will never change until we become active citizens. Active citizens. Let me take another quick pause, because we're going to have to switch gears. So let's think about this some more. We're certainly going to bring this back, but I don't want us to throw any candidate out. I don't want us to throw anything out. We got too much time. And I know I said earlier, one of the crew members said, hey, is no one else, we don't have time. We got time. We got time. We just got to be very clear and very intentional about what the goals we're trying to achieve here at this point. At this point, we have to look at the landscape and say, all right, let's see who we got here. We got time, folks. This is the whole process of voting. This is the huge part of democracy. You choose your leaders. Your leaders are not chosen for you. They are not automatically getting into the seat. You choose the leaders. We, as the constituents and as citizens, we have the right and the power to choose our leaders. If you lose sight of that, folks, then you're not part of the democracy. If you lose sight of how much power you really have, then you can't do it. You're not part of democracy. All right, we're going to let this one sit on the table for a minute. We're going to take another pause when we come forward. Let's talk a little bit about sports as the NFL season has it upon us. But I got some stories around this issue, around the NFL, that I think that is certainly worthy of a conversation. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Very, very excited to have a number of great conversations. Before we jump into our next conversation, I just want to remind you, folks, that we are streaming live right now directly on our homepage at blackstarnetwork.com. Your support for the work that we're doing here on this network is absolutely pivotal. Your support means everything to us. We run the commercials with Brother Roland, emphasizing the importance of your support. So we do not want you to lose sight of that. Make sure you go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. You also can see past shows, archive shows that we've done in the past. You'll see the great lineup that we have here to offer on Black Star Network. And more importantly, you can be a major stakeholder in making sure that this digital media space is a space that stays unfiltered and totally authentic to the interest of Black people in this country and around the world. And we're still building relationships with other folks all across the globe to make sure that their voices are represented in the course of these conversations as well. So blackstarnetwork.com is the place. We're also streaming on Amazon News on your Fire TV. Plex TV is also showing us, so we truly appreciate that. And of course, we're on all your major social media. We're streaming live on Facebook right now. And of course, on our YouTube page, just go into Roland Martin, check out the chat. That's where you will find our great team of supporters, our online culture crew, and you can join us in the conversation. Trust and believe, folks, you can go into a lot of digital spaces and to get your news and information, but there's only one Black Star Network. There's only one culture where you could be able to be a part of the conversation, and that's here with us today. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about sports as the NFL is kicking off its season tonight with this Thursday night game. And I'm very, very excited to have a very special guest to check in and share his thoughts about what he sees going on with the season and, most importantly, things that are happening off the field. I'm joined by Mr. Cole Johnson of USA Today to talk to us a little bit about sports. Cole, thank you so much for joining us. How are you, dear brother?
It's a pleasure to be here, Farajii. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. First and foremost, this is a very exciting time. Like, we can talk sports. I mean, we can go play the fantasy football picks and all of that good stuff. But the bigger picture, and I think the bigger question is this ongoing question about the NFL, the impact the NFL has made, the off-field things that are happening, the NFL's relationship with Black folks, women, and all of these things. Should we expect to see something different this season that the NFL is going to be doing for its fans? that we may have not have seen over the past 100 years?
I would love to say yes. I would love to actually sit here and say, or stand here and say, yeah, we're gonna see something different that we haven't seen the previous century before when it comes to the NFL. But no. We learned back in 2017 with the Colin Kaepernick situation. The color for them is not black. It's not really white. It's not orange. It's not yellow. It's not red. It's green. And if it doesn't affect the bottom line, which is money, then you're able to do whatever you can almost with impunity. So it would have to be where you would have to have a lot of people financially say, I will pull my support unless you do that. Another example, of course, is, well, the changing of the name with Washington's team. I especially call it the slur, but but the change of the Commanders, happened. It didn't happen until we actually had Nike and Pepsi and FedEx say, well, we're going to pull our support from the team unless you change the name. So we have an understanding in at least the past 10 years that if money doesn't drive the force of change in the NFL, then you're not going to see change at all. And it doesn't matter what category in life that you're talking about.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Washington team, i.e. the Washington Commanders, right? Mm-hmm. One of the big off-season stories was the fact that they had to go through a major change, major restructuring of their organization after the horrific leadership of Dan Snyder there. But one of the big pieces is that Magic Johnson is a part of that group that bought the Commanders. It was reported, Brother Cole, that he met with the team for the first time over the past couple of days with the Commanders team and their staff. He is an inspirational leader by every stretch of the imagination. When you see Magic, you feel Magic. But he is in a very, very important role. He even cried a little bit thinking about the history he made being a co-owner of this major franchise. Talk to us from your vantage point, bro. Do you think that his magic is going to permeate throughout the team, that his vision of making sure that this organization, this club is more equitable, more conscious, is going to permeate throughout this team, and that we may see some better results?
The beautiful thing about Magic is that with him, and we've got a chance to see this starting with his business ventures almost as soon as he retired from the NBA, that this is not going to be a guy that's going to have things thrown at him and he's the token guy. Yeah, he's going to show you that, yes, I have business savvy, I have business acumen, and I am strategic in what I do and where I move. So the beautiful part about that is the NFL partners, and yes, I know that Magic is not the majority partner of the Commanders in terms of the majority owner of it. So I understand that. However, a lot of the reason why that change happened and a lot of the reason as to why people are embracing the team, both in the DC area, in the DMV area, and outside of it, is because you have Magic there. And when you think of Magic, you think champion. When you think a guy who is a businessman, you think a guy who just lights up the screen no matter what you're talking about, where you're going, how you're traversing. So when you have someone like Magic there, you have to sit up and take notice, because what led him to being what many widely consider to be the best point guard in NBA history is the fact that he is a good leader too. So when you have that, it's going to permeate down, and you're going to have people in the NFL say, you know what I'm seeing in DC, what I'm seeing in the DMV, I wouldn't mind being a part of that. And the NFL needed to have someone like a Magic Johnson be in that good old boys network circle, because change needed to happen. And although change can be slow, it still is change for them. And in terms of the NFL, the change, the slow change is considered warp speed for them.
Right. Wow. That's dope. That's deep right there. And you know what, Brother Cole? I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, brother. What's your take on this part of the conversation that says that because he wasn't able to become majority owner, that he may not have as much say? Because I'm thinking that, when I remember when a number of teams were up for bids, or you had everybody from Diddy to Jay-Z to others kind of throwing in their hats saying that they would be interested in buying a team and that they would come together and pool their resources. So is the entrance into ownership, is that through the co-owner path? Do you think that is a much more viable, realistic path for Black men and for Black entrepreneurs to take part in, versus just coming in at the top as the majority owner?
Well, I think what we have gotten a chance to see a good example of that is the NBA. Even though the NBA is represented by 80% Black players, you, until early this summer, only had one majority Black owner. And now you have zero again. So even in a league that is considered black, the ownership is white there. So
right.
But there are many teams. With that being said, there are many teams in the NBA that does have minority Black ownership. I mean, you think about Dwayne Wade with the Jazz is a good prime example. And Usher, I think, with the Cavs, unless he sold his interest. So you do have minority ownerships that sort of is, I guess you could say, bending the whim a little bit of the normal culture. Another example in NFL is you did have Serena Williams invest in being a minority owner of the Dolphins. I think this was like back in 2017, 18, and that was quiet, but people rarely talk about that. But
I'm about to say, man, we don't. I remember there wasn't hardly any conversation about that.
Right, it was. Very little conversation about it. But I'm thinking that is the move that we're starting to see more of. We're starting to see, okay, if we can't just simply come out the box and be like Diddy and say, all right, I'll throw the stake of, I'll have the money here and we'll go and run now. They're saying, okay, well, we will in chunks change it. And I think that mentality has helped having Magic come in. And now what I think Magic is going to do, I think it's going to open up the possibility for that good old boys network, because I've always said that when it comes to NFL ownership, you have to be, the qualifications is you have to be an octogenarian or 80 years old, white male. It will change that mentality. It will change that landscape, unfortunately, from just the standpoint of age. And another, from if you're going to have big time movers, now we actually have a party here. So, now we've gotten to see Magic Johnson be owners of many other different teams. I mean, he's a part owner of the Dodgers. He's a part owner of the Sparks. He was a part owner of the Lakers. I still think he is technically, but it's just quiet as kept. And he actually is part owner of a soccer team in Europe. So he has so many irons in the fire, so many interests, that now you're going to have the NFL say, okay, so this is a business cat. This isn't just an ex-jock wanting to get his jollies. Oh, he knows how to move like we move. Okay. Now, if we can have more brothers like Magic, then maybe we might open our doors. And I think that is what's going to help.
Oh, and have more Black women. Because they come.
I'll be fine if it's Black women. Yes, I'll be fine.
Black women are coming to be in that ownership space. And like you said, Serena Williams hardly talked about that. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know that she even had any type of stake in any team. Yeah. So that is huge. Look, we got to take a quick pause, Brother Cole. When we come forward, we'll continue the conversation because as much as we talk about Magic trying to break in the glass door, the NFL is still trying to show that they care with its change initiative, right? And Colin Kaepernick has gone on record to say he doesn't see any substantial change in the NFL's efforts to address social justice. And then NFL is like, oh, no, we're putting more money. They put more than $300 million into this campaign. They are lining the end zones with certain messages. My question is, Brother Cole, is it resonating?
Is it resonating? Is the message resonating?
Is the message resonating? I mean, look, we can all talk. There's nobody, and I got to take a quick pause, but there's nobody, Brother Cole, that's going to be like, in racism, hell no. Keep racism going.
That's right. you won't hear that anywhere.
Unless you're racist.
Right. Unless you're racist, you will not hear that anywhere. Exactly.
Exactly. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Plus, does the Ravens have the first all-black quarterback unit? Come on, y'all. It's Baltimore. What you expect? We're going to talk a little bit more about that and so much more. Stay with us, crew. You're just getting started as we talk sports a little bit here at the start of the NFL season here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been chatting it up with Mr. Cole Johnson of USA Today to talk sports and the new NFL season that is upon us. The first game of the season will be kicking off this evening for Thursday Night Football with one of my favorite players. And it ain't the guy playing for the Lions.
What do you have against Jared Goff?
and I'm in Los Angeles, Cole. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm a Ravens fan. I'm a diehard Ravens fan. But guess what? Hey man, look, Patrick Mahomes is actually. I mean, I think that we really don't give him. And it's funny because I think that. I know he's the face of the league, right? He is the guy. Mm-hmm. He is the guy, hands down. Like when we have conversations about quarterbacks and all of that, mm-hmm. Top two. The list ain't long.
At worst. if he's below two, you gotta ask that question. What are you watching?
What are you watching? And I enjoy the thing that I enjoy about him. And some people will say, well, you know, we shouldn't quote unquote include him in black quarterbacks. And it's such a silly ass conversation to me.
Very much so.
But the thing that I like his work ethic, and I've heard this years ago. They talked about this with Ray Lewis and other greats. Your football IQ, his football IQ is so high. Mm-hmm. That like Tom Brady. And when I found out, Cole, that he actually now he says Tom Brady is his mentor, I said, oh my God. Oh my gosh. He sees this game much differently. And I'm wondering from your vantage point very quickly on this, but from your vantage point, why don't we see more quarterbacks who are either coming into the league or more quarterbacks that are in the league really tapping on the great ones? Tom Brady, he's a GOAT, right? He's the GOAT. Yeah. But why don't we see more quarterbacks taking the role of like, okay, let me learn. This guy's retired now. Let me learn from him because I would be blowing up his phone.
Mm. Oh my! It goes back to when you're in your 20s and you get a chance to taste life for your own self. You want to feel as though you could do it on your own. And you hear and you've heard ever since you were little that you need to have wisdom to bring you through to certain times in your life. But when you get to the early stages of adulthood, you think, I don't need that wisdom. I could do it on my own. And we're seeing that en masse when it comes to a lot of these NFL players. And because of that, I really believe the quarterback position in terms of skill set, not in terms of athletic ability, but in terms of overall skill set has decreased a bit because of what you just said. They don't reach to those guys who have played the game and said, okay, you've jumped through these hoops. These things have happened for you. How did you negotiate this to get to the next level? And what do I have to do in the place where I am to get from here to that next level and be where you are when I retire? You're not seeing that type of conversation enough from these new school players now, because they quite honestly are like how, well, let's be honest, when we were in our 20s, we actually thought similar. But it took bumping our butt a couple of times on the concrete for us to realize, oh, those lessons that my mother told me, good Lord.
Come on, bro.
Okay, so all right, so let me reach down, let me get this advice that my mama was telling me. So I got to listen more intently, and then you start to listen to more people. It could be your mother's age, it could be your grandmother's age, but you start to appreciate that wisdom the older you get. And so you have Mahomes, who is in his mid-20s now, about his late 20s. I think he has bumped his butt a couple of times, and now he is listening to that wisdom, and now you're starting to see the fruit of that wisdom pursuit. And
but Cole, hey, brother Cole, but you can't. But the reality is his learning curve is a lot quicker, right? Because it's just because
Yes.
He might have bumped his butt, but he still ended up in AFC championships. He still ended up with 2 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? Like, and within a very short period of time of about 5 years, he was able to accomplish what a lot of players haven't accomplished in their whole careers, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's like your learning curve is like, woo. You see what I'm saying? Do you think the conversation about money has dampened that part of an athlete, of today's NFL athletes, from improving that skill set? Because in the whole, I remember over the past summer and everything, when they were talking about Lamar Jackson and they were talking about, you know, the money, and I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, and I know some people are like, man, you don't like Lamar, and I do. I just don't like you so concerned about the money situation that you lose out on exactly what you said, which is the skills. Improve your game.
Right.
The money will come.
Exactly.
Win championships. The money will come.
It has to come if you do that. Yes.
So, and this is something that I've seen with Tom Brady. Tom Brady wasn't the highest paid quarterback in the league. Matter of fact, for years with the Patriots, he was one of the lesser paid quarterbacks, even though he delivered 7 Super Bowl rings to that franchise, to that club. So do you think the money situation has overshadowed skill, athleticism? Do you think that's the case now?
And part of it, yes, I think it is. And yeah, and to your previous point about the learning curve with Patrick Mahomes, well, for people who want to not claim that Patrick Mahomes is black, what his father was, who was a relief pitcher for the Twins. So I think through almost osmosis, he got a little bit of that wisdom too. So it started with him real early as a baseball player who grew up in the state of Texas, which is a football state. But to your overall question of, has money basically overshadowed skill in terms of focus? Somewhat. And I say somewhat because, there is this, okay, there's the bag. I need to get to it. And if I just do these sort of things, I can get to it. I don't have to invest all of myself to do that. But if I invest a little bit of myself, enough to where I can pay attention to the market that's there, I could get to that bag. And you said it. You get to the point where, and I think this is tantamount to where Lamar Jackson is. He got to the point where, he had the skill set. He has the MVP. He now has some playoff success, but he hasn't gotten to where I know wants to be, which is he wants to hoist one of the Vince Lombardi trophies that Mahomes has hoisted 2 of. Heck, he hasn't even gotten to a game to play for it, but Joe Burrow of the quarterback for the Bengals has. And I love your point. If you work on your skill, the money will come. Michael Jordan is a prime example of that. For most of his career, he got paid $1 million. He didn't get broken off of the chains that you would think a player of his caliber would until 1996, when he got paid $33 million a year. So that just goes to show you.
Wow.
That just goes to show you. If you work that skill, the owners are going to have to come off that money sometime, somehow, some way. And they will, if you're willing to show that you're putting in the time. And with Brady, not only was he not the highest paid, he at times took pay cuts so that the Patriots could bring in more free agents than usual. And that's why they were able to stay on top for as long as they were.
Absolutely. And it's a very interesting dynamic, to say the least, when they're getting paid life-changing money. It's not a lot of money. It's generational changing money, right? Right. To do the things that they're doing. All right, speaking of the Ravens, Cole, I want to get your take on this. With the Ravens having what some say might be the first all-black NFL, all-black quarterback group. Here's the Baltimore Ravens, folks. There they are. You got Lamar Jackson. You got who is that? Tyler Huntley.
Yep.
And you have I forgot the brothers on the. What's his name? What's his name there? Number 17.
Oh, Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson, right? Who played an excellent preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Josh Johnson in action, and their team. So Baltimore Ravens may be this is the headline from the Griot that the Baltimore Ravens may be first NFL team to have an all-black quarterback group. And what does that mean for the Ravens as a team, and what does that mean for the league?
Now, what it means for I'll go with the team first. What it means for the Ravens, it means that you now have to understand that when it comes to quarterback play, you can't settle for wow plays. You can't settle for jaw-dropping plays. You can't settle for athleticism being 100 all the time, which that's great. That's wonderful. That's spectacular. But there's times you have to deal with the fact that basically NFL in particular, but in general, football, it is where a quarterback is the point guard of football. That's the best way I can describe it. Your job is to get the ball into the hands of your best playmakers as often as you possibly can. And the more successfully you do that, the further you go. And I think this is what the Ravens have to understand, and they have to learn this. I mean, they have had playoff success with Lamar Jackson. Well, I should say they've had playoff berth success with Lamar Jackson there, and they've even won a division with Lamar Jackson there. But the job isn't complete.
Yeah.
They haven't won an AFC championship in over a decade, so now they have to get that mission to where it's complete. Now, I think what will help them a little bit actually would be the fact you have the quarterback's coach, T. Martin, who, if for those who might know or might not know, he was a quarterback in college. And I think he was a backup. And when I mean backup, probably like third stringer for the Steelers. But he was a quarterback for Tennessee in college who took the place of Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning could not win a national championship, but the year that T. Martin got there, he brought Tennessee a national championship. And the year was 1998, by the way. So he wasn't that type of athletic quarterback where he ran all the time. He relied on his playmakers. So it brings to your earlier point. Well, of course, Josh Johnson's been here for a minute. So you have Huntley and you have Jackson. They can pull from these resources within the team and and then they can blossom and grow and actually diversify their talent, the likes of which we haven't seen before. Now, what does this mean for the league? It means that you just simply can't say, well, so we see a black quarterback on the field. Okay, so basically you have a running back in quarterback's clothing. We're not going to insult quarterbacks who are black. We're not going to insult Justin Fields. We're not going to insult Lamar Jackson. We're not going to insult Patrick Mahomes. We're not going to insult these guys. They are in the position where they are because they do have the ability to run a team and in many instances run them successfully with how they do. So
absolutely,
it should be a big time sign to the rest of the league that yes, so what if the Ravens have an all black room, not just the quarterbacks, but the coaches too? It simply means they were qualified to do it and they're qualified to get there. So now we have to not think, okay, black quarterback equals he has no arm. Black quarterback equals all he will do is run. Black quarterback means all he's going to be is an RPO or run pass option guy. Black quarterback simply means, okay, we're just going to have him do two-step drops and just get rid of the ball. No. It should be a black quarterback is the same as a white one, which is if you are able to run an offense in the NFL successfully, you will get the bag too.
Absolutely. Vic Abram, you checked in and said Mahomes is an easier sell to America than Lamar Jackson.
maybe he might be an easy.
Mahomes, of course, he's married.
Yeah.
He has the wins.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't come from he doesn't look street. Let's keep it real. He don't look cultured. Hey, Cole, he don't look cultured.
No.
So he's an easier sell than Lamar Jackson.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think that? I don't think so. I feel like. All right. Let me just throw this out there. Let's throw this in the mix very quickly.
Go ahead.
I don't know if Lamar Jackson can be put in the same analogy, but I'm gonna see if we can do that. Lamar Jackson has done what the quarterback, has changed the face of quarterbacking what Allen Iverson has done for basketball. Can we put them in the same?
All right, let me do it from that. If it was going to do it that way, let me do it from the standpoint of how Iverson changed basketball in general. He changed culture. It wasn't as much the play on the court, but the play on the court was spectacular because the dude played literally like a warrior. He actually played like a football player on the basketball court, but he influenced change in culture. Before you did not have. It almost seemed as though players did not have the permission to be street in their look or be or be urban in their an appearance. But with Iverson coming into the picture, who it didn't really matter to him, that was just him. You started to see others slowly but surely rounding the form. I mean, heck, even to now with LeBron James doing it. Because you start to see cornrows and you start to see tats and you start to see baggy clothing. And am I saying is that at all the sign of black culture? No, because I will be the first to tell you black culture is not a monolith. That's just one aspect of it.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So hitching that to Lamar Jackson. He has not changed culture in the NFL like Iverson changed culture in basketball with the players, I mean. However, the same type of mentality of, I think I can get this done with my ability. Yeah. And I think you're starting to see that type of change with quarterbacks that came after him. And yeah. The quarterback that most people compare him, that was his predecessor, Michael Vick. Yeah, you can see that. You can sort of see the evolution in terms of the style of play at quarterback. But even with Vick, he had to learn, okay, so maybe not trying to play 1 on 11 is not going to win all the time. Maybe I need to learn other aspects of the quarterback position to be better. And the best MVP type of talk for him ended up being when he was an Eagle the second year, where he was under Andy Reid, and I think he came in second in MVP voting, and that was the best year he ever had as a pro football player. That is what Lamar Jackson needs, and if he can get that, that'd be wonderful. And here's a tie-in I think I can make with Jackson and with Iverson. AI, he had that feeling of, he had this chip on his shoulder where it's like, well, you really can't tell me anything. But then when he actually started to realize what Larry Brown was teaching him, which was, and Larry Brown is a sound basketball mind, he was like, okay, I'll roll with this because I trust what you're saying. All right, I'll relent. And when he did, MVP season. So I don't think we've seen that. Yes, we've seen wonderful, prodigious ability with Lamar Jackson. Yes. Yeah. But have we seen that, oh my gosh, he is tearing up the league with his legs and in the pocket too season? No, we haven't seen that yet. I am hoping we do. And if we do, I'll be one of the happiest guys on the planet.
I would be too. As a Ravens fan, I would be too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would be too. Jay Moore, you checked in. You said I thought Cam Newton changed the game. Cam did a little. I think Cam would add to that lineup of people, of men, like you said, Michael Vick, and you got Cam Newton, right? Brothers who came into the game to try to make their own. But I think that, to your point, they all kind of ran to this brick wall a little bit. when they realize like this is not like basketball.
Right.
This is football. This is a team sport.
Right.
This is a sport that requires you to be skilled in cooperation. This is a sport that requires you to think beyond yourself.
Right.
And in order for you to win games, you can't put up 60 points. You're not the superstar. The superstar is the team. Like, yeah, you can break out, but at the end of the day, if your receivers ain't catching the great throws you making, if your O-line ain't holding and they breaking up your legs in the process, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We got to take another quick pause, Cole. When I get back, I want to talk about a show that has revolutionized sports broadcasting. Speaking of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel, after 29 seasons, Real Sports will be ending. 29 seasons, and it's one of the best sports shows I've ever seen. Stay with us. The culture continues on the other side, right here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Farajii Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been chatting it up with Mr. Cole Johnson from USA Today, talking sports, the NFL season, and just some of the things that are the dynamics that exist right now as the NFL kicks off its new season tonight between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs, and talking a little bit about all of this stuff that comes along with this, man. Oh, man. And look, Cole, I need to bring Cole back into it. Hey, Cole.
What's up?
I'm watching football, brother. I'm watching football.
Okay.
I'm watching football, bro.
There's nothing wrong with that. No wrong with that at all.
No, because some of us, man, they want to question your blackness.
I know. I know.
See, you do this. This is what you do. So you can be, you can be like, well, this is part of my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just letting y'all know I'm watching football.
Mm-hmm. But I know what you mean
because
saying that.
6 years later, 6 years after Kaepernick, we're still like, oh, y'all still watching it? Yeah, damn. I'm watching football.
Yeah.
I love the game, man. I'm sorry. I love the game. If there's an alternative space, if therere's a big three football conference like
Oh Lord, not like the big three with Ice Cube and the NBA. Oh, that's sad.
There's an alternative space for us to watch the game. So be it.
Oh Lord,
I know we got CFL and.
Oh Lord, the big
But
7
I
on
love
7.
football, man.
I do too.
It could be like the Big Ten or something. You'd be like, oh, okay.
Look, I do too, and I make no bones about saying that whenever opening night of NFL comes, it is one of my favorite days of the year. I make no bones about it. None, zero. But it still doesn't. Right, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You said I know what you're going. I think I know what you're going to say, brother. I think I know what you're going to say. So go ahead and say it.
But yeah, I can still, and I think you'll agree with me, Farajii. I can still love football and still love black culture and black people at the same time. Still, that hasn't changed. In fact, it's intensified in the 6 years since all the Colin Kaepernick stuff happened. So, yeah, the thought of, well, you know, your black heart needs to be revoked because you follow and you watch and you love football. Man, get out of here. No.
Come on, brother.
No. I mean, we're still talking about a league that the player representation is 73% black. Still, 2023. I mean, almost 3 out of every 4 NFL players are black. So,
damn.
So you mean to tell me that you're pulling your support of a league that still has that many black people, black men who represent the players in the game, that you're going to pull their black cards too because they play the sport?
Nah. Or pull the black cards of the coaches?
Or pull the black card of the coaches as well? No. In fact, it's the opposite from the standpoint of, so when we get, it's almost been like an annual thing. When we get to Mike Tomlin almost having his first losing season, and understand, folks, the head coach of the Steelers, he's been there for 15 years. The next losing season he has will be the first. So yes, we have a black coach in an NFL who has never had a losing season. But we every year, every November, every December for the last 4 or 5 years, we have had the talk of, well, will this be the year that Mike Tomlin will lose his first losing season leading the Steelers? And the voice may be getting a little too stale. The Steelers may be needing to move in a new direction because it looks like Tomlin is not having the success he has before. And I would hear all the voices of, well, wait a minute, why are you attacking this black man? How dare you? And then they'll pull up the receipts for him. The same people who will say your black cards revolt will be the same people say, well, wait a minute, this black man needs to live. You got to choose one or the other.
One or the other. One or the other. Very quickly. That's very well said, Brother Cole. Very quickly, let's talk a little bit about Bryant Gumbel, who made a huge transition from being the host of one of the premier news shows on NBC, The Today Show. And he stepped off, he left that space, went into the sports space. I remember the conversation around this man. And I was a young boy. When he made that transition. People like Bryant Gumbel, the news guy, he would with sports. And we used to look, people used to of course his brother Greg Gumbel is an accomplished sports broadcaster, right?
Yeah.
And I remember people would say he's not black enough.
Oh, yes.
But I always thought Bryant Gumbel was one of the most thought-provoking broadcasters, journalists in the business. Like he really, you could tell this is a man that really thought about these conversations. After 29 seasons, y'all, I want y'all to understand, there's no way in the world in today's media do you have any show that sticks around for 29 seasons.
60 minutes level. That's 60 minutes level. Goodness gracious. 29
seasons. He's finally calling it quits with the end of his show, Real Sports, which is a dynamic show that shows you the life behind the glitz, the glamour, the behind the scenes of real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought to myself, I just at least have to acknowledge that this black man, this brother, paved the way for brothers like myself and so many others, right?
Mm-hmm.
In his representation of the issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching Real Sports and just thinking to myself, this dude is brilliant. He's having conversations with players and insiders and coaches in such a dynamic way. And he's keying in on the conversations and the issue. It's brilliant.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, if you haven't checked out Real Sports, y'all, I'm telling y'all, much different. It's what can you say, Brother Cole, about this in the few moments we got left?
No. See, this is why I know there is a God, because of this right here. And why do I say that? The biggest motivating factor for me to even be in this space happens to be Brian Gumbel. And I've actually said many times in many different platforms that I wanted to have a career similar to him, where it was diverse, where it was where I got a chance to dig deep and show humanity and show diversity, no matter if it was with a woman or it was with other Black people or it was with other cultures or if it was with topics. Because what people don't know is that he actually started out in sports. He was the sports anchor for NBC Sports when NBC had pro football back in the 70s and early 80s before he went and took the Today Show job. So he's been about that sports life for a solid minute. Woo! And so to see this brother and when he went to Real Sports, my first thought was, wow, he's going back home to what he feels that he knows, and he put his own stamp on what sports journalism is supposed to be. And I love the fact that it was coming from a Black man, the way that he was doing it, and he was doing it in a classy, intelligent, intellectual manner. And so
and that's unheard of.
Extremely unheard of, man.
Unheard of.
Unheard of.
Because brother Cole, like sports journalism it requires humanity, because you're not just looking at these players, these athletes, it's like pieces of meat, right?
Right.
It requires something so much bigger. Folks, Real Sports has won 37 sports Emmy Awards.
So many Emmys, yeah.
37. It's HBO's. Let me just share this with y'all. HBO, longest running series on the network in its history
ever,
helmed by a Black man who has shown his brilliance, his intelligence, his humanity, his insight on talking about the issues. One season he was even awarded the Peabody Award, but they looked at a number of stories. They're looking at head injuries, the conversation around CTE. They look at athletes who came out as gay. Hey, look, let me just tell y'all something. And the reason I'm taking this moment is because as a media professional, I just try to show homage and respect for those who have paved the way. Your presentation of the news, your presentation of the issues and having these conversations, all of that goes into my personal journey. So I want to just thank Brian Gumbel for the excellent broadcasting, the excellent sound journalism that he provided to us as it relates to sports and so many other issues. But we got to give a man his flowers. He's 74 years old, Brother Cole, and he was awarded a sports Emmy earlier this year. And he's in a space where he can name his price on this whole situation. But this is absolutely phenomenal. And again, Real Sports, one of the best sports magazine shows that you've seen on TV. It's groundbreaking. And I don't know what HBO's plan is for whoever they're gonna continue that piece, that franchise, bringing a new host and all of those things. But more importantly, big shout out and congrats to Brian Gumbel, man.
No
Big
question.
shout out to congrats to Brian Gilbert, because like you said,
No
Cole,
question.
a lot of black men who are doing the work you're doing. I got my
Mhm.
other guy, Scotty from Off Script TV, and so many others who are coming. Brian Gilbert.
Yes, 100%.
Brian
100%. And what is important with Brian Gumbel to me, what is important to him is we've heard many people. I mean, you can go down the list with Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, any celebrity, sports or non-sports, that you could think of. If you ask them, okay, how did you get here? They will tell you the person that modeled the way for them. And now you have two brothers on this platform saying, here's a guy who modeled the way for us, and his name is Bryant Gumbel. And he may not have sounded the way that stereotypically people would want him to sound. It may not have looked the way stereotypically people wanted him to look. But one thing was for certain, this guy brought journalistic excellence to the screen. And it made me happy, and it makes me happy now that we can give him his flowers here, because he made it possible for a Farajii, for me, and for others out there, men and women, who look like us, to actually give forth content that is hard-hitting, that reflects humanity, and that shows and in this case, shows a different side of sports, where it's more than just the X's and O's and the final scores. That it actually shows that these athletes are human beings, and that we should care for them as human beings. And
because they're putting so much on the line to entertain us. You're right.
Yes, yes. And if we do that, we would be. And I love this platform, because if we were to understand that, we would be more informed as fans, and we'll be better as fans. We would actually understand in certain cases of, just to give an example. Instead of when in Veterans Stadium, the Cowboys played the Eagles in 1998, and Michael Irvin was driven to the turf, and half the Veterans Stadium at the time applauded him being hurt. It would give us pause to not do that and look at a player as, oh, one of their best players is out. We can actually applaud that. Yes. No. We should be in the mindset of like how I was this year technically, but in last season, the last Monday Night Football game last year, when we saw a young brother named DeMar Hamlin from Pittsburgh collapse on the field, and everybody was hushed. Everybody. And why? Because we divorced him as a football player, and we looked at him as a human being. And we rushed to pray for him, for his safety and his health, and thank the Lord he's able to play now and he's alive. So you need to have shows like A Real Sports to have us be more well-informed, in this case, fans, to treat these players as human beings and not commodities.
I think that's an excellent analysis. And I would totally agree with you, big brother. And more importantly, I know that if we did look at athletes as human beings, the conversation would change dramatically.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said it, but one athlete said, sports fans are fickle. They love you today, they hate you tomorrow, right? And it's like, that's the nature of the game. As long as you're on top, as long as you're winning, everybody loves you. Until you start losing, then it is what it is, right? So you're right. We have to redefine our relationship, and I think it is like shows like Real Sports and other shows and individuals, more importantly, that can help in that process to redefine our relationship to the game. Because some of these institutional sports, whether you're talking about NFL, NBA, NHL, the MLB, that, like you said at the very beginning, they don't see black, they don't see white. They just see that green. That's it. As long as the money keep coming in, we can talk a little here and talk a little bit there about humanity and sports, but let that money start flowing.
Yeah, these owners are like, if it doesn't make money,
it doesn't make sense.
$8, it just simply does not make sense.
Hey, Cole, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for checking in. How can people follow you and the work that you're doing, brother?
All right. Well, thank you, Farajii. I appreciate this, man. You can
You're
follow
welcome.
me on all social media platforms at host Cole Johnson. That's host HOST Cole COLE Johnson JOHNSON on all social media platforms. And you can tune into many things that I do on the Coleman Media Incorporated YouTube channel, where I host a show called Mentality with my brother Wise El Jefe. You can also check me out as well on other platforms as well, but primarily you can also check me out on Cole Sports with a Z on the YouTube channel. That's Cole Sports with a Z on the YouTube channel.
There it is. Cole Johnson checking in with us this afternoon to talk all things sports, talking about the new NFL season. Brother, thank you so much. We'd love to bring you back on as we have more conversation, because we know that this year is going to be the year that we're going to have to really keep our eyes on. Who you got for tonight? Who you thinking?
Tonight,
you already know where I stand.
Tonight, I want to see Mahomes do his thing. I really do. And you would think he'll tilt toward the Lions, but it's hard to stop number 15. When he gets going, it's hard to stop him. I don't care what weapons he has or doesn't have. It is hard to stop that brother.
He gonna make a play. He gonna find a way to win. That's what it is.
That's what
all right. Hey, Brother Cole, thank you again for being with us and continue to do the great work. And most importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture, big brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Man, our time has been very well spent. Hey, look, crew, if y'all haven't had a chance to, make sure y'all support us here at Black Star Network. BlackStarNetwork.com is the website. Big shout out to those who have supported today. Stephanie Farr, welcome to the Bring the Funk Fan Club. Stephanie, you are officially a member of the BSN family. We truly appreciate you. So you are part of that. Yeah, let's throw that screen back up there, please, Keenan. Let people know how they can support us. Thank you, bro. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle. Your support means everything, and we need it, folks. We need it. We're having conversations unlike any other space, keeping you in mind, and most importantly, keeping the empowerment of our people in mind. So make sure y'all do your due diligence in supporting us here at BlackStarNetwork.com, BlackStarNetwork.com, BlackStarNetwork.com. All right, and I appreciate my fantastic team. Want to thank Joel, Shannon. I want to thank Maddie, Chris, Lise. Thank you so much for your support and work with us today. Also, my man King Keenan for making me sound and look good. Truly, truly appreciate it. Folks, make sure y'all do your due diligence. Follow Black Star Network on all social media platforms on the platform, Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter. And you can follow me, yours truly, The Real Farajii on Instagram, Farajii on Twitter, Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. I would love to connect with you. And to my culture crew, thank you so much for checking in. Make sure y'all subscribe to our page on Roland Martin's YouTube page. Make sure that each time y'all check in that you hit the like button, because that makes a difference for us to make sure that we're up there in the algorithms. So it means a lot. So thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, folks, make sure y'all stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But always remember this: never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right, while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow. Checking in with my man, brother Sinead tomorrow, and my sister Corinna Denise tomorrow to talk to us about some of the big topics for happening in the news. So we'll have those conversations tomorrow, God willing, here on The Culture, exclusively here, only here, right here on the Black Star Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Peace. Wow.